All right, something I want to clip in the video here. It's really tough getting you a good exhaust video. You could take either header off individually without taking the collector box off or any of that stuff. And when I take it off, I take one header off and then I take the other header off with the collector box still on it. It's one less seal you got to break, you know, and then I'll put it back on the same way. But, you know, for this one, it was real simple. You know, I'm removing the header and then I get the first band clamp and loosen that off, and you can wiggle it right out, you know. So if you need to remove a header, that doesn't mean you have to remove the whole exhaust, okay? So if you have to remove a header for a repair, shifter shaft seal, you only have to remove the header, or whatever you have to do on the other side. So I want to clip that in because it's tough giving you a good video of this. I'll show you here. Take you over here. You can see that header. Let me move this collector box. That's my header. You can loosen it up, you know, loosen it up at the band clamp. Just give yourself a little, you know, a little wiggle room. But, you know, this is my right side header and collector box. I took the left side off first and then went from there. You could just slip your finger back there usually and hold that nut. I like to rather leave these threaded in because they're a bear to get back in sometimes. If you see that little lip in there, right here, these got a nice copper, you know, copper gasket sleeve in there. And if you keep them nice and you can slip the pipe right back in, then you don't have to get new ones. You know what I mean? So try to be nice with this one. Repeat the process on the other side. We got another exhaust cover back here. Can you see it? There's one bolt right back there. See it? Right in there. Touching it. Boom. One there. Right up here. And then there's one up here. You're going to need 8mm wrench for this one up here. After we got the mufflers off, we're going to start loosening all this up. That's the band clamp. That's on the collector box. That bushing bolt right there, right in the background. We're going to take that off. All 12mm. You got 6 of these high top bolts right here, 2 on each side of the pipes. Don't worry about this back shield, that's actually attached to the header. That'll all come right out. We're going to remove the bottom 2, right, and then just loosen the top one. Alright, we're just going to go right in on it then. I'm going to get this out of the way because this one's going to be a wrench. It's the only thing you can get back there. And I don't have my ratcheting wrench, so it's broken, so. Some of you guys might have run into this problem, right? Where the stud is coming out with the nut. If you did run into this problem, you don't want to just keep winding one out and bending your header. You know, if you start to run into that problem, just start working them all evenly until the whole thing comes out. Alright, that was a nightmare. But we got everything out now. The collector box will come right out with this header. With either one, really. It'll come right out, dude. Alright, we got 110 up in here. Now, I didn't take the floorboard out on this side, so I'm just doing it with a wrench. Then if you swing around here, pretty much right under the under and behind the driver foot peg. We got another one right here. I normally don't do shit like this, but it's just a heat shield. So I pushed one side down, pushed the right side down, so let it bend a little bit. I'm not going to do any turns with the bending, so I can get it right back in place. So I bent the side down, and I'm using one of these guys, 10 millimeter, and I'm sneaking up here, and we just got to go a little bit at a time. Now you can also get a little movement from up in here also. So if you're caught in that funny spot with grabbing the bolt, you know, this is what you got to do. Eight millimeter bolt. Got to separate this heat shield. Alright, remove this heat shield before you go any further. The thing that's going to hang you up is just right up here, that mounting bracket. That's it. Alright, we're doing the exhaust going back in now, okay? And some of you guys might have run into this problem, right? Where the stud is coming out with the nut, okay? So I got a couple of them on this one. Now I'm just getting new studs. There's no great way, there's nothing to hold on to. You can double nut the header side and work this thing off. But then sometimes you mangle these threads a little bit. You really don't want to do that to your head. So I'm actually just gonna mull these off, and I got some new ones. But what I'll do is I'll link the part number and where to get it in the description. But all right, now you look in there, you can see that copper ring. That's your header seal. I have all new ones. I'm going to recommend to you that you definitely do this. If you don't get a good seal in there, you're going to be taking this thing back apart, man, because it'll be noisy. Your exhaust will crackle when you throttle. You really just want to replace these. They're cheap. I'm going to show you how to get them out and what to do. So I'll do one for you here, and then you can repeat the process 5 more times. Now you can see right here, there's a little bit of an extra shelf on the header. Okay, so the gasket kind of sits in there. That's a good prying platform to get this off. Just get in there, something not too offensive, pop it off. Okay, after you get that off, use a non-offensive wire brush, you know, brass, actual brass, not just brass coated, and just get that cleaned up a little bit. All right, at the same time, when you're with your brass wire brush, get all these stud threads, just so that it's not giving you a hard time getting everything back together. Okay, now also I have some new studs, so I'm going to show you what to do with that as well. Alright, here's the stud. What I did was I double nutted it. So I used the cap nut that came with it, plus I found another one, and you'll need 2 10mm wrenches, and you double nut that, you tighten them together. This way you can run the stud in, you know, you can crank it in with a little pressure on the nut side here. You know, gives you something to grab onto, something to use. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little Loctite red in there, but just a little bit, man. You don't want this thing being, you know, never able to come off, and this shit's badass. So I just put a little, you know, you see it, a little dab on the end. I'm trying to do this. There we go. All right, now get it started. Wind it all the way in. And then you just want to seat this one. Don't crank it in there, because that's aluminum back there. And you don't want to rip out them threads, man, because then you're going to be getting your tap and die set out. Alright, we're about in. My setup needs to be a little tighter. Okay, there we go. We're just about in. Alright, that's seated. You know, I just tap it on there. Now I'm going to flip my wrench and I'm going to release the double nut. Release the double nut. Wind it off. Boom, you got your stud set up. Alright. You know, get it mildly cleaned out. It doesn't have to be spotless. Just get that edge, that shelf where you're putting your new gasket on. Just make sure there's nothing holding it up. Give it a little feel. Yeah, it feels good. Okay. You know, get this gasket tack. Alright, because these are just going to want to fall out, man. They're not tight in there until they're crushed in. But the gasket tack will just hold it right up there. You could do all three. Get your header on. Alright, in getting the exhaust back on, you can see this is my right side. And I have the collector box was never detached from this header. So I put this one on loosely though. Nothing's tightened up. You know, you want as much play as you can in case you need it for over on the other side where we're going to put the individual header on. So, I mean, basically, I just stuck something underneath here. It was that bucket and some wood just to keep the collector box elevated. And then I loosely put the stud nuts on, the 6 stud nuts on around the header. Just loosely. So, anyway, this is what I'm doing. I got the header. Let me get out of the bad light. Okay. I got the header. I removed the studs. I'm greasing the end because there is the copper mesh gasket in the collector box waiting to receive this. And I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to push the tip of that around, you know, the outer edge of that mesh gasket. I want to keep it just as it is, so it can be reused. I don't feel like waiting 3 days, and it doesn't really need it. Alright, I actually took the bolt off the other side of the collector box. Give it a little downward clearance because the kickstand's in the way here. So I'm going to try and get that straight shot right in. Get that bad boy right in. Right? Make sure you got the you're wrapped around the shifter shaft. Alright, you can actually rest it right on the shifter shaft. And get this light out of here now. Maybe go that way. And we can work the rest of it in right here. Gotta tell you, that was actually pretty painless. Alright, we need to get the kickstand down now. And now we can complete it. You know, it's like any other nightmare. You gotta work until you get it in. Just make sure everything's out of your way. Got that heater hose back there. Now, I'm just going to snug these down just a little bit. I don't want to crush my gasket yet. It's just seated lightly against the new crush washers. I don't want to crush them down yet until I have the entire unit all together and on there, and then I'll tighten it up at once. 4 of these 8mm nuts. Slip the last one in there. I got beat for the footage. Sorry.